Dude, if you haven't used a creature bait, you need to start using a creature bait. And I'm gonna show you 3 ways how to rig them that you probably not even knew about, man. So stick around and I'll show you how to rig these for optimum performance. Right, so I'm going to start with how the Mojo Craw is made, the way the plastic is made. This bottom part, let me see if I can just hold it properly. This bottom part, the bulky bit, the bit with the grooves in it, has more salt concentration than the claws. The grooves will hold a weedless hook, but because the body is bulky, it helps with casting and it helps with that fall rate, but it still makes it erratic. The claws on these suckers have a little bit, actually a lot of bit, more buoyancy. So when they're in the water, it stands up and the claws float. So when it's in the... Let's do it again then, won't we? Woo! Before I show you how to rig them, I want to talk about how they're made. The body, the bulky bit of the body has more salt concentration than the claws do. The body's also got a groove on one side and a groove on the other side. You can use both of these grooves if you're gonna set it into, like, if you're gonna put a weedless hook on it, and I'll show you in a minute when we rig it. Your hook will sit in that little recess, either one, and be virtually weedless, because what you wanna do is you want to run this on the seabed or the riverbed, and you wanna bounce it across, trying to entice some fish with the hand. But the grooves also help because the body is bulky with casting as well. Makes it a bit more streamlined. It doesn't make it as much like a giant paper bag. And if you want to be fair, I don't, because I think the claws are freaking cool. You can take the claws off and then you've got a completely different bait, completely different action for those fish that are finicky and they've never seen a crawl before. So, but I would suggest to try it with the claws on and with the claws off, I guess. I mean, go out and have fun and play around with it, dude. I mean, you get a pack of 8, take the claws off some of them. First, I will show you how to rig them on a Ned rig. These are the new Fish's tungsten Ned rigs. And I'm not entirely sure why it's called a rig, because that's not a rig. It's just a hook. It's kind of like a jig head with a flat end on one side. And when it's rigged up, and it hits the water, it'll go on the seabed and the bait will stand straight up. And basically, what you do with this, you just want to ghost rig it like that. You put your thumb where the bend of the hook is, and that's where your hook point's gonna come out. That's where my thumb was. That's coming out just like so. And then you've got enough room, boom, and you got a perfect set, just like that. The Ned rig's absolutely awesome. The Ned hook, to rig it on a Ned hook, I guess that is a rig, because you've got your whole lure, rigged up. So yeah, that's why they call it a Ned rig. Anyways, with a Ned rig, you cast out, because this is weighted just like a jig head, it'll fall this way, but because it's flat, it won't roll over. It'll sit flat, straight up, just like that. A couple twitches of the rod tip, let it just sit there and give it not even a couple of twitches, but get your line so you can feel the lure and just and that'll shake those little claws all around, dude. So that's one way to rig the Mojo Craw on a Ned rig. The next way I'm gonna show you how to rig this is on a skirted jig head. This is one of the scratch tackle jig heads. It's got 2 feet on the bottom. So when your bait is on the bottom, it actually sits up. So it kind of sits at an angle. And if that's sitting at an angle, those claws are up like that. But the skirt gives it a bit more frill, gives it a bit more liking. Put your thumb right where the bend of the hook is. That's where your hook point's coming out. Shake all this stuff out of the way again. That's the only thing that's hardcore about these things. Come on, just let me move out of the way here. Like so, where my thumb is, boom. I usually like to poke my finger a little bit, just so I know it's there. And there you go. That is a skirted jig head, and that's how you rig those. Basically, it's the same as a Ned rig. I mean, it's not a Ned rig because it's a totally different kind of hook, but you rig it the same way. The skirted jig heads give it a little bit more, like I said, frill in the water. They look really good when they're down in the water, and it just sparks curiosity from fish that aren't moving so much or aren't as active so much. Put those little frills on it and it's gonna, I mean, curiosity killed the bass or the pike pretty basically. No, it didn't kill it because we put them back. Put them back. Catch and release is not a crime, dude. Right, so the last way I'm gonna show you how to rig this is ultimate. It's just the ultimate way on how to rig this. It blew my mind when I saw it. This is the moment that you've all been waiting for. It is untrue. It'll get you when there's trees about or when there's structure about. The way that this is rigged will get into that structure, into the rocks, into the roots that are down in the riverbed, into the fallen trees, everything, and that's where the fish are. That's what you have to look for, man. Look for structure and stuff, and you never want to cast a lure in there because you don't want to lose it. This way you won't lose it. Right, what you're gonna need is a Mojo Craw or a creature bait, a Texas style hook. Not really, I think this one's got a little bit too big of a gape on it, but you don't need that big of a gape. And the trick to the whole entire thing is a nail weight. Just a small nail weight is all you're gonna need. Instead of rigging your creature bait the standard way, rig it backwards. Your hook point goes in the head of it. However, what you wanna do first is you take your nail weight and you put your nail weight in where your hook point would go originally. It's like that. Bury it into that sucker. So now you got a little bit of weight on the bottom. I just lost my hook. Turn it around. Your hook point goes into the head. With these Texas hooks, to get a perfect rig, take this little bend part where the eye is, set it against your bait, mark that. It's hard to do it backwards. Mark that with your thumb. That's where your hook point's gonna come out, just like so. There's your hook point. Take it all the way around to the bend, and then just turn your whole hook. Turn your whole hook, bam, and you've got a perfect set right where that bend is. Mark it with your thumb. That's where your hook point's going to go. Perfect, every freaking time. So now you've rigged this up backwards, and you've got your nail weight in the bottom. What's gonna happen is when you cast that out, it's gonna hit the water and it's gonna fall that way. With your weedless hook, it's gonna backslide. This is called the backslide rig. It's gonna backslide into your structure, over your weeds, into the roots of the tree. And when you go and pull up, it kind of looks, because you've got these up like this, and then it kind of looks like it's like swimming up. Dude, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. But yeah, that's the backslide rig. That's how you rig that sucker. Get a craw out, dude. Even, I mean, the backslide rig, when you cast it out, boom, let it fall to the bottom, let it sit there, give it a couple twitches so the appendages move, and then don't jerk the rod tip, just lift it up so it kind of swims up and then goes back down into where it needs to go. Usually, if they're there, fish will hit it on the drop every single time, dude. So that's it really, man. 3 ways to rig the Mojo Craw. Get out there, get them into the margins, get them into the trees, and go and catch some fish, man. Get your butts out and go fishing.